My name is Jill Swenson, and I'm going to be telling a personal story called Close to the Heart. Ring, ring, 6:10 a.m., and the phone rang. Blue Lake Elementary School needed a substitute teacher. I got dressed, rushed over. I was there. Only this morning it was going to be a 4th grade class. I normally worked in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. These were big kids. I got to the classroom and I read over the lesson plans. It didn't seem too hard, too much away from 2nd grade. The day went pretty smoothly until it was time for recess. We were all excited. I wanted 30 minutes of just standing on the playground without children saying, Can I sharpen my pencil? Can I do this? Can I go? And the children wanted to run. We gathered in line. We walked down the hall, turned the corner. We all stopped and looked. It was raining. No, it was pouring, cats and dogs. With long faces, we turned and walked back to the classroom. I had discovered during the morning that Brian and Evelyn were 2 dependable children, and Sam not so much. So I asked Brian and Evelyn, what do you do when it rains? Well, Miss Brim-Willows has games and puzzles, and Sam popped up and said, and we can play with the chameleons. I looked at Evelyn and she said, oh yes, we can play with the chameleons. We returned to the room and the puzzles came off the shelf and the games came off the shelf and the chameleons came out of their cages. I kind of hung over with the games and the puzzles. I'm not too fond of little creepy crawly things, but I figured I'd better venture over there. A little while later, I walked over and kind of looked down. Of course, Sam looked and went, there's one on you. I shook out my scarf and patted down my sweater and gave him that teacher look. Yeah, right. Left. Came time to clean up. We cleaned up. All the puzzles were back on the shelf. The games were back on the shelf. And the chameleons went back to their cages, but there were only 3, and we had started out with 4. We washed our hands and went to lunch. I couldn't eat lunch. I'm thinking, this predicament, what do I do? I devised a plan. We got back to the room. Math and science went on hold. We divided and conquered. Some kids went to this corner. I sent some to this corner. Some went over here. Some even ventured behind Miss Brim-Willow's desk. We looked everywhere. No chameleon could be found. The bell rang. It was time to go home. The children rushed out the door. It was a Friday, and I knew the school was closing early. I didn't know what to do. So I wrote a note, Dear Miss Brim-Willows, I am the world's worst speller. I didn't know how to spell chameleon, so I wrote, I'm sorry, we've lost one of your little lizards. And I left my phone number. Please call if you have any questions. I got home, picked up my kids. We did our normal Friday afternoon. We went to the library. It was story hour. We went to the grocery store. We planned our Friday family meal. I got home. I took off my scarf. I hung it up. And then I took off my purple sweater. And as I took it off, this green thing flipped up in front of my face and plopped on the floor right in front of me. I screamed. My children came running. I sent one for a plastic tub. I sent another for books. I stayed guard. I didn't let that thing move. The tub returned. We put the tub on top, piled the books on top. My husband came home. He laughed. We kept the little critter over the weekend. On Monday morning, I called the school to let them know, please let Miss Brim-Willows know that I wore her chameleon home and I have him safe and sound. I walked into the office and everybody laughed. I was worried about the classroom. They were glad to see me. They were glad to have their chameleon back. And that afternoon, as I drove away, I realized that one of the things I feared the most, I held close to my heart for a day.